Namaste, welcome back to this channel, Yoga Spanda. My name is Emmanuel, Manu, or Akshobi as you wish. This video is initiating a new series of video dedicated to a specific path of Tantra called Shivoham Tantra. I mentioned already this lineage, this specific tantric path in previous video when I spoke about Navaratris. But now I intend to speak a little bit more about my own story and my own process with this path. Why do I intend to do this series? Simply because, first of all, it has been part of my life for the last 17 years. I met Guruji Rajkumar Baswar, the head of this lineage, in 2006 in Pune. At that point, there was no Western disciple at all, and I was the first somehow to start to share a little bit some of the tools that I received there and start to bring people to meet him in his house in Maharashtra. And then from there, after a few years, we were able to start to organize a bigger gathering with more than 100 people sometimes, and it led towards a series of 6 very intensive puja process, rituals that were done in his place, in an ashram that was created for the reason, and also all over India in various pilgrimage places, in Kashmir, in the south of India, in the center of India, a bit everywhere. So I've been dedicated to share that path very intensively for 12 years, from 2006 to 2018. And then after, because I started to establish myself more in France, and because other people were there also to start to share more this tantric path, I kind of withdraw a little bit from the sharing part. But it has been nevertheless part of my spiritual practice since the beginning. Since 2006, I started to do mantras and other practices related with this path. And my intention through this series of video is more to speak a little bit more about the early time when I met initially Guruji Rajkumar Baswar, and to speak a little bit more about my own process in this path. The reason is that today, as I said, it has grown quite a bit in terms of connection with the West. A lot of people from all over the world now are practicing mantras from this lineage and various rituals from this lineage. But some of them are maybe connecting more recently and don't know so much about the early time that I encounter Guruji. So the intention is to maybe give some inspiration to these people, to speak a little bit more about the early time, the anecdotes, like crazy stories that may have happened for me in that path. And also maybe to just inspire other people to join this path, or simply to have a kind of a nice storytelling of what is a tantric path in the right and tantric tradition, and what are involved in this path, what are the elements that are involved in this path, or simply what is to be on a very strong tantric path in terms of what do we encounter, what kind of resistance, what kind of purification happens to us. So the goal is really to speak a little bit more about that, but as a storytelling, to make the thing a little bit more juicy than just a kind of dry theoretical explanation of what is this tantric path. So in this first episode, I'm going to speak a little bit more about what led me towards that and my first encounter with Guruji Rajkumar. So my meeting with the head of the Shivoham Tantra lineage, Guruji Rajkumar Baswar, took place in 2006. It was in my 3rd trip to India. So I had already been in India in 95, where I started to get really more immersed in spirituality. And it was a kind of a mind-blowing experience for me, and I had already some deeper experience of meditation. And this really started to spiritual path for me really, really strongly. After that, I started to do regular practice, yoga practice, and meditation practice, especially in Buddhism. Buddhist meditation practice. Then I had the chance to go another time in 2000, 2001, where I could stay longer. I did a full training to become a teacher, and I start to also do a retreat, Vipassana retreat. And from then on, I got involved more into tantric yoga school too. So I was immersed with all this knowledge of the chakra, meditation with mantras, especially short mantras, and also kundalini practice, quite intensive practice on the chakra, one by one. Really, it was a very strong background to in fact start to get more deeply into Tantra. But at that point, personally, I was not really looking for a guru at all. I had already several teachers. We were doing, in fact, in Pune, we were attending a process called intensive satsang from a person called Dolano. She had been strongly influenced by Osho and then by Papaji. And she created that process to create a more direct recognition of yourself. So I was really not looking for, again, starting another path in Tantra and getting more into that. My great love was non-duality, from Kashmir Shaivism and more Advaita Vedanta. I was starting to get more immersed into that too. So I was not looking for more ritual practice and a right-hand tantric path. So while walking in the street of Pune, close to the ashram, we had an Indian person that Monica, my partner, had met already a few months before, that started to run towards us and saying, I have this intuition, you have to meet my guru, you have to meet my guru. He's coming in Pune in a few days, please come and join us. There will be some people, there will be some music, please come. So at that point, neither of us really was looking for a guru. We had already several teachers. We had already been immersed in this tantric school. And personally, I was really in love with meditation and with more and more with non-duality. So I was not at all looking for some new teaching about rituals or fire ceremony, or I was in love with mantras, but I was not looking for ritual tantric practice. But we decided that okay, we should go anyway to this meeting. So it was in the afternoon. We were sitting in the garden of that friend's house. And there was this music playing, and the guru was supposed to arrive, but he kind of didn't come. It was kind of lasting a little bit. And the music concert even finished. I was in the garden, and I was in quite deep meditation stages because of listening to this beautiful music. And suddenly I felt something really deep at the level of the heart, something like the level of the soul. It was not like a strong energy, but something very deep. And then I kind of was curious about it, and I came in and I saw this man sitting with this mustache and speaking Hindi and getting translated by this friend Piyush. And Piyush was also touching people according to the saying of this guru. He was touching people in different places. People were asking about maybe sometimes problem, pain in the body and stuff. And he was giving mantras and stuff. And then we interfered in it, we interacted a little bit with him. And what was funny is when he asked my partner to come and sit next to him. At that point, he asked her, you are doing a mantra? And she said, yeah, I have mantra initiation. And which is your mantra? Which is the mantra you practice? And she got really bold and she said, no, I cannot give you my mantra because I receive initiation. If I give you my mantra, I will lose my mantra. Because it's in Tantra, if you get an initiation of a mantra, you have to keep it for yourself. You cannot just say it out loud, as long as you are not have it strongly enough to be able to initiate other people in it. So she was kind of adamant, I'm not saying my mantra in front of all these people. And he said, but she said then, but if you're a tantric guru, you should be able to perceive if I recite the mantra internally. And he said, yeah, no problem, I can do that. In Hindi, obviously, but he was translated. So they sat together and she started to do the mantra. And he said, yeah, that's a nice mantra, but you should put Om before. So you repeat the mantra that she was saying internally. And he said, put Om before. It will make it more powerful. So that was already kind of a little bit mind-blowing. I also interacted with him. He gave me some mantra. I had, still already received quite a bit of mantra, but at that time, so especially short mantra. So I was really not kind of impressed by all this, but I was kind of still, I was kind of interested. And then he said to us, at the end, he was really warm to both of us, to my partner and me, more than to the other person somehow. Maybe he saw that we had already some background. That's what I thought at that point. Later on, he told me that I had been connected with him for 4 lifetimes already, and that I was just reconnecting. But my partner didn't somehow. She was connected, according to his perception, to another brother guru of his. And so he was kind of intrigued by her energy. So basically that was it for that meeting, but later on he came back to Pune and we met him again, visiting some families with him. So it was kind of just starting, some interests were starting, but it's only really when we met him in his place that things started to move more. This will be in fact part of our next episode. So thanks for listening to this. If you liked, please don't forget to like it and comment and subscribe if you like. This makes this flow of YouTube working.